So, Jennifer, could you tell me a little bit about your backstory and just a little bit about yourself and your relationship? And then I'm going to ask you some questions about your parenthood, pretty much about how you became a parent, why you became a parent, what made you want to become a parent, things like that.
Yeah, of course. I was raised on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. My name is Jennifer. I am 27 years of age. I have one child. I've been married for 6 years now. I got married straight out of high school. I've been with this same man, of course. Um, that is all.
Okay, so I'm going to start asking you some questions. So the first question is, why did you decide to have children?
Well, I honestly felt like my marriage was complete, but there was just something that we were missing. There was that little bundle of joy that all parents talk about. I felt that our family needed just that little bit more, and I have made the best choice that I've ever made in my entire life. We unfortunately were only able to have one, though.
Okay, what was your pregnancy like?
It was very turbulent. It was extremely rough. Towards the end, my high blood pressure got the best of me. I ended up carrying about 2 months preterm. I had a preemie baby. It was extremely rough. I had tons of morning sickness. Some mornings I struggled getting out of bed. It was extremely rough.
Okay. What was giving birth like to you?
Well, since I did have a preemie baby, it was very all of a sudden, and I couldn't go into labor because I guess it was a preemie baby. I'm not sure about how all that works and the science behind it, but I did end up having a cesarean section, and that was weird, having your whole lower extremities numb to where you can't feel them, and all you can feel is the flutter of the doctor's hands inside of you, and then out comes this little bundle of joy.
Yeah, I've always heard my
Have your attention, please. Cook Library will be
my mom had a C-section, and she was telling me before about how traumatizing it kind of was because it was an emergency, and so it was just very scary for her. Okay, so who cared for the infant? Like, in this question, I mean, like, what was your, like, parenting arrangements? Did you have daycare? Did you go to work? Did you become a stay-at-home mom?
Well, you see, my husband's in the military. That's, I guess, one of the reasons why we got married so quickly is whenever he deployed, I'd be with him. So because of that, he was able to take leave for a few weeks during, like, the birth and a little bit after, but for the most part, it was me by myself. He went straight back to work because he doesn't really have an option. I was more of a stay-at-home mom. I took care of the child, fed it, loved it in every way that I could.
Yeah. Okay. So my next question is, how did having children affect your relationship with your partner? Like, did it better it? Did it make it a little more stressful?
In the beginning, our beautiful baby boy made it so stressful on our lives. Looking back on it, like, it would be the simplest fight. We would get so mad at each other over who was going to clean the diaper next or who was going to feed the baby, and I've done it the past 3 times, why can't you? But as we grew in our relationship, it really opened our eyes to, like, teamwork, and it in the end brought us closer together.
Okay. So what is your philosophy of discipline? Like, for example, like, were you more authoritarian? Were you more authoritative? How do you, like, obviously your child's not old enough to really be able to practice these types of parenting styles yet. He's still so young, but what would you consider your view of how you're going to raise your child?
Well, for the vision that I have for my son, I want to be a parent first and foremost and be strict with him, but also give him guidance and love and let him be able to come to me with situations. I don't want to be so strict that he feels like he cannot come to me with anything and that I'm just putting him in a little box and being so strict on him but I also don't want him to run the world and be free and get into things that he has no business getting into.
Would you say that you and your partner, like, would you say you and your husband agree, or would you say that y'all disagreed on how you're going to discipline?
Well, my husband is more not aggressive, but more authoritative is the word, yes?
Yeah, authoritative.
More authoritative towards the child, whereas I am more I want to explain to the child what he did and how each thing that he does that's wrong, like why it's wrong. So he wants to just discipline the child.
So would you say that he's more old school, kind of? Would you say that he's more like avoid the problem? The reason why I'm telling you to do this is because I'm your dad, like I'm the adult. Is that what you would
definitely.
say? And you're more sit down, let me explain to you why this is wrong.
Definitely. He does not want any business, and I'm the dad. That's what I said.
Yeah. Okay, so in what ways do you encourage self-reliance in your child? Like, do you have responsibilities for their actions? Like, for instance, I mean, how old is your son right now?
He's 4.
He's 4. Okay, so, excuse me. So, like, what I mean is, like, do you make him do some, like, little chores just to show a little bit of responsibility to try to teach him certain things?
Definitely. Since about the age of 2 going on to 3, he started learning that, we don't do diapers. We put them away, and, like, we throw them away after we use them if needed. But we've kind of started to potty train, and that's been a miracle. Very difficult, and he's struggling to learn, but he's working on it. And he puts away his toys every time after he plays, and he cleans up the table, not with any household cleaning objects, but I've taught him how to use, like, a wet paper towel to wipe up the crumbs from his area, and those are kind of his little chores that he gets to do, and he gets a sticker on the wall every time he does them.
That's really good. I feel like that's a really good way to, build, I guess, responsibility in a child, because a lot of children don't get that. Everything's handed to them,
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, so on this question, how does your child, like, get along with other children? Are they, like, aggressive with other children since he is the only child? Does he function well with other children, or is it more everything's mine, I don't share with you?
Well, he has lots of cousins on his dad's side. They're all very close, and they hang out regularly. So he's learned to share, and he's learned that, like, you can have the toy for 5 minutes, but I want the toy after you're done playing with it, or to take turns and to share. But he does have his moments where he's selfish and wants to keep the toy to himself. But we're working on it still.
Yeah. How involved are you in providing care? Like, and by this I mean, like, is there any daycares involved at all? Is there any babysitters? Like, I mean, stuff like that.
We try to incorporate babysitters because I want my son to see a lot of faces. I do not want my child to only see my face and associate my face with comfort. I feel as if my child should have an early start at getting used to faces that will be coming in and out of his life. I want to give him a sense of stability, but still be able to have him not completely rely on me.
Yeah. How involved is your partner in providing for your child? Like, let me put it this way. How are you and your partner, like, providing? Like, is he the whole, like, sum of the income?
He is definitely, what do people call it? The breadwinner I think that's the term that is used, but he provides he's our sole income, and we live on base, so it's definitely one of those. He provides the house, he provides everything, and I'm the stay-at-home mom taking care of the kid completely. Occasionally, me and him will go out on date nights, and that's when we bring our sitters in, but I'm pretty much the caregiver of the child, and he is the sole provider.
How do you view your child's level of attachment to you and your husband?
He loves us. He does. You should just see his face light up whenever mommy or daddy walk in the room. It's the sweetest thing ever. But he is not, I've seen a lot of kids, like, because we have a lot of friends, and our child is Catholic, so he goes to CCD, which is like, I don't know the name for it, but it's like the Catholic, it's how the child learns in the faith. And I've seen the children, when they get dropped off, cry and cry and cry for their parents. And my son is very comfortable walking in the classroom and being dropped off and playing with his friends.
Would you say that's because, like, he always knows that you're, like, super prompt and on time, and you never, like, leave him stranded? You've never given him that, because, like, I work at the CCD here on campus, and sometimes the children, like, freak out because they think that their mom and dad has, like, abandoned them. But would you say that your child's, like, completely opposite?
I
Or
don't
at times
feel,
is he like that? Like, it just varies.
I don't feel as if my son is ever worried that I would ever come back, because he knows that he sees me far too much to ever worry that I'm not going to be there. So I know that he knows in his head that even though I'm going to be gone for a short time, I will be back and he will see Mama again.
Yeah. Okay, I have a few more questions for you. What strengths do your children have? Like, does your child have? Excuse me.
Well, he is very creative. Whenever you give him free play, we do this at home, I'll throw down a bunch of blocks and he builds the coolest castles, and he's just 4, and the structures that he is able to build just blows my mind. And so that would be definitely one of them. He's very independent. He likes to do things by himself. He does not want help from mommy, from daddy. He wants to be able to build the blocks himself. He wants to be able to wipe the table himself. He wants to do all of that by himself. And then I would say his last, what strength did you say? His last strength?
Yeah, like what strengths does he have?
His last strength would be his adaptability. He is wherever you take him, wherever he goes, he blends right in. He never has any troubles or fusses about what's going on, and if, he's very comfortable in the surrounding that he's placed in.
Is there any children that, is there any children? Is there anything that you would want to change about your child? Like personality traits or like little tedious things that they do that kind of, I guess, get on your nerves?
Well, you see, you can't say this about your child. This is hard. I don't feel as if he has an attention disorder, but he constantly, doesn't matter if it's me or any other person around him, he constantly wants the attention, and he constantly wants to be, the center of the show, and he constantly wants the validation of, hey, I'm here, and until he gets that, he'll just tap on your shoulder, or look at you and be like, hey, and we've kind of worked towards breaking those habits, but I definitely feel like that is one of the things that, like, if I could change easily, that would be what I would change.
And I have one more question for you. So this one is kind of like evaluating yourself. So, it's a hard one. Not really. It's literally just, how would you evaluate your parenting experience since you've had your child?
Well, I feel like I am the best parent in the world. All the time, I definitely feel like I'm confused. I'm lost, and I don't have all of the answers, and, this, that, and the third, and I constantly call my mom and ask for her advice and all that, but I definitely feel that I'm doing the best that I can with what I have. I feel like I have been able to provide what I have been able to provide in the best aspect that I can, and I've tried to give him everything that I can, but sometimes it's very hard for me, and I do admit that, like, that is also one of my biggest weaknesses as a parent. Like, having one child, you don't have the experience that you would with, like, necessarily a second child, where you have not like a trial run kid, but like, you know, where you
Yeah.
can get all the imperfections out, and then by the second kid you kind of know what you're doing. It's I have one shot. He is my world, and I don't want anything to happen to him, but on the other hand, you know, I'm doing the best that I can. So I feel like that is
And I
I'm
feel
pretty
like
great.
you being like a stay-at-home mom, like a lot of people don't get that. I want to say luxury, because a lot
Yeah.
of parents have to they have to put their kids in daycare and babysitters and things like that, because they do have to work, because not everybody can you know, like I said, get that luxury of spending every time with their child. So
I'm definitely blessed for that, because as I did mention, I bring in babysitters, but that's not because
yeah, that's
necessarily
not
they're
that you want to just
needed.
get rid of your child. It's just because
I want to introduce them to new surroundings.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and you do need personal time, like with your husband.
Definitely.
Obviously, I mean, that's your husband. But yeah, so you seem like a great mom.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Well, thank you so much, Jennifer, for letting me interview you for this.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.